like chest pains, heart pains. They're pretty concerning and not great.
Oh, you don't like that?
Not usually. Not usually a big fan. Okay. All right. Well, this week's podcast is brought to you by trees stabbing my house and also food geometry.
This week's podcast is also brought to you by Nutter Puffs and the scientist in me.
I am your host, Madison.
I am your other host, Jesse James.
Okay, I'm sending you pictures.
Oh, good. So these are pictures of what you were doing last night?
Okay, so I'm sending 2 groups of pictures.
Oh, God.
This is what I was doing last night.
All right. Well,
which I will refer to as getting coned.
I don't know if I'm supposed to see this. Oh, hold on. These are very interesting. So pizza comes in a cone now, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. That's the whole thing.
For anybody watching this, I think you're just gonna need to check out.
That's a very sober picture, completely sober.
So when I worked downtown, I and a friend of mine would often go to Westlake Center, where they used to have fuck tons of trash food, as opposed to now they're trying to like pretty it up. And one of the things that they had there for a while, like a few years, was a what was it called? Well, it was a place that did Japanese style crepes.
Ooh.
But one of the things they did was like the giant like ham and cheese and corn and like everything crepes that are just like a meal and a half on a crepe. Those are way better than they sound too. And they cost like $5, but when you're like working late in an office and need something to eat, it's like the perfect weird office dinner.
That sounds really good. I want some Japanese crepes.
Yeah, well, they closed that down when they closed down like the McDonald's and the Sbarro and all that stuff. So not allowed, but
that
for a while.
Stupid.
Yeah. It's fine if they don't have the Sbarro and McDonald's, honestly, but that crepe place was like, it was probably a chain, but it was not a chain that I saw any other representation of in Seattle.
Well, darn, I missed out on the great crepe age.
Well, now there's some other stuff next time you're in Seattle that you can not miss out on, but all right, it appears I'm receiving more pictures.
A tree stabbed my house.
I didn't know it was that literal of a tree stabbing.
Yeah. So for those of you who are just listening to this, or I guess also watching, a tree fell on my parents' house and stabbed my childhood room, which I have always maintained is very haunted, and I think this confirms it.
But I will say, is that stuff that you put on the wall or your parents?
Which stuff is on the wall? The paint?
No. So what Madison is neglecting to say is that a tree stabbed through her childhood ceiling and missed by inches a wall-mounted shelf full of what looks to be fine
teapots.
Fine tea sets.
Yeah, those are mine.
Those are all totally fine.
Yeah. It actually did. I didn't actually even think about that, but it did totally miss that by literally half an inch. Yeah.
But also, for those who are viewing this, look at that shit. That's just right through the ceiling.
Yeah. The house just straight up got stabbed. So
That's
that's a
nuts.
fun like Idaho Pacific Northwest thing.
Yeah. Well, that's what you get for living in nature.
Yeah. Um, my parents had a moose in their yard the other day too. So that's just full on the wilderness over there, I guess.
Yeah. That's oh, I last time I was at my grandparents' place in Alaska, I took some videos of moose in the valley you can see down from the like kind of cliff they're on.
Hmm.
Uh, there's a big valley that moose walk around like sort of short trees. Uh, and I figured out that if you just put your phone up to the end of a binocular, you can use it like it's a telescoping lens.
Yeah.
And I shot some videos of moose walking around down there. They're real assholes up close, but I like them from a distance.
They're fun. They're so fun looking, but they're not at all fun
No,
at all.
they're like the North American rhinoceros. They're a real shit show if you have to deal with them.
Yeah. And I saw actually, I can't remember if I sent this to you or did you, maybe you sent this to me or maybe this was my dad actually who sent this to me. A guy was standing in his yard. Um, I want to say somewhere in Washington, and there were two moose just like fighting in his yard, and he was just standing there
Yeah.
videotaping it like it wasn't completely dangerous to be there.
Uh, One of my friends from college got chased in grade school. I think she lived around Anchorage
Mm.
for like a block or so on her way to school by a
Oh my
moose.
god,
So she's still alive, so that worked out.
that is good. Yeah, they're mean little
Mm,
fuckers. Like they're
yeah,
they're not nice. Once we were driving when I lived in Coeur d'Alene, we were driving on some like back roads and we scared a baby moose just in the middle of the road and we stopped our car and he rammed our car like 3 or 4 times and then just
yeah,
kind of ran away. But yep, even the young ones are mean.
yeah. They have a real short fuse and they're always dicks. Uh, but the moose dropping festival is really the way to get in touch with moose. Go to
Oh.
Talkeetna and hang out with a bunch of fucking weirdo hippies. Uh, they usually have like a bluegrass festival around the same time in that
Oh,
area.
those two things go together, I feel like.
Definitely. So one thing that we had talked about discussing this week was um, something that I've gotten to deal with a little bit more the last few months, which is trying to use weed and CBD to not be as stressed out about everything. I feel like uh, if you listen to us talk, you can kind of tell that our lives are both mundane and stressful at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like you get that sense.
Uh,
Hopefully.
so did you end up doing any weed things over there?
I did do some weed activities.
Yeah.
I hate weed, so I got gummy edibles
Okay.
and I got watermelon ones, which it is actually has turned out to be kind of a dangerous move because they're actually delicious and I
Yeah.
just want to eat them, which is not a good thing or idea.
Yeah,
Um,
usually not.
but they worked, I guess, a little bit. I've been just like taking small bites to figure out what is the best amount for me. But usually I just get like tired and not necessarily de-stressed, but just like spacey. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I seem to have a slight allergy to like THC, like that part of the weed. Uh
Hmm.
the weed affects me poorly. But the CBD, the little bit that I've done where it's like as low a THC amount as you can still get and be potent.
Hmm.
I got gifted some like 10 milligram caramels by my roommate, and I was able to cut those into like quarters, so like 2.5 ish milligrams per, and that helped
Hmm.
me sleep a lot better for a little while. I need to get more. I wish edibles weren't so fucking expensive though. Uh,
Yeah.
like I got them as a gift. I was like, wow, these are like not terrible. Like I'm not my throat's not getting like itchy or shitty, and like I'm not getting like flushed. I'm just like relaxing a little bit. And yeah, it definitely doesn't like they don't feel like I'm high when I'm like awake with them, but I don't wake up like 4 hours into sleeping like I often do otherwise.
Mm.
But
Maybe, yeah, maybe I should give that a shot and just
uh,
use it for sleeping.
it is helpful. But then I found out that the average price for a box of 10 of those is about $100. Uh, and
Wow.
like I can't buy that. Like it is cheaper than medication, but I don't need to like self-medicate that expensively.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's really expensive.
to be
Wow.
fair, that box of caramels lasted me for about 6 months or so. So it's not like it's a giant expenditure as long as like I don't start relying on it just to get to sleep at all or something, but still
Yeah.
it's even if you cut them into quarters and get 40 days out of it, that's a lot of money. Like you may as well be getting like anxiety medication at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. I'll have to give that a shot. That's really expensive edible though. I guess mine were I think around 30,
For how
but
many?
they're 10 milligram. I
Okay.
think it's 10.
Well,
So
maybe you should mail me stuff from there because it sounds like it's cheaper.
it might be. Yeah, I'd totally do that. I have such a weird anxiety about going to dispensaries.
Yeah.
I don't I don't know why, but I think I just get in my head about like, oh my God. Well, especially like right here because it's not legal in Idaho, but we're right next to the border and
Right.
probably 200 feet from the border is the dispensary. So,
Well, I can say with full certainty from this video that you do not look like you do the weed at all.
I don't have that look about me.
Yeah, you don't have that like shaggy dog doing the weed on the weekends kind of thing going on. Uh, that's good though that you live close to the border. Hopefully they're not fucking dicks. You know, police aren't ever dicks, so it should be fine.
Never.
And you're
I
definitely
don't
not
have that
in
issue
a
at all.
state that has a bunch of problems with white supremacy or weird shit like that. So, should
Nah,
be
Idaho's
fine.
super cool.
The
Also,
cops are cool.
super duper cool. We actually just had somebody, a woman, I don't know her name, some Idahoan representative, I want to say, just introduced a bill to ban all abortion in the state of Idaho, even if you were raped. So that's where we're at.
Well, that's great.
It's
That
so cool.
you know, I think you'd find that if Jesus was still around, he would want those rape babies out in the world. Because really, what it comes down to is that a baby's a baby as soon as you get pregnant, and
Hmm.
and you know, fuck women. Like I think that's
Yeah,
really what the key component to the whole thing is. Ah, I mean,
exactly. The government should fuck off and never tell me what to do, but except for I don't want this lady to abort her rape baby, and
yeah.
I want the government to tell her what to do.
Also, stop telling us we shouldn't be doing this. We're a oppressed minority. Don't look at the demographics. Christianity is an oppressed minority.
Oh my God, that could be an episode in itself.
It
Don't
will be
even.
eventually. There's way too much anger about that stuff from both of us. So,
Yeah, we definitely need to have an episode dedicated to like Christian oppression Olympics.
Well, when I find a good internet source for us to watch, like a mixed week of TBN or something, we'll we'll watch that and then work into it. We can watch that fucking thing. I don't even remember the lady's name right now. She has this big sermon speech about how women are actually happiest when they're like behind a vacuum cleaner. It's like straight up the most like sexist shit I have ever heard. And it's this
Oh my
like
God.
50-year-old woman who works with the church. Like, fuck.
So she knows,
Oh yeah.
definitely. There's around here, I think I mentioned before, there's that big church. I think it's called Christ Church. But we have a pastor here who's his name is Doug Wilson, and he's like semi famous, I think. But he's got some event happening this week. I'm trying to find the name of it because even the name was just like fucking bananas. It was like, uh, God, I cannot remember. It was something to that. Oh, here it is. The lost virtue of sexism.
Oh, cool.
Like, I don't even know what that means. How could that possibly be spun into a good thing?
You know, all these people who are in their like 50s and 60s who are pissed off at internet clickbait because it gets them to install another toolbar. Uh, those fucking people were like living with clickbait the whole time they were going to church, and they just fucking liked it, so they didn't care.
Yeah. It's great. Lecture info. So it's a lecture from this guy. Sexism. What is sexism? And is the Bible a sexist book? This lecture, Doug Wilson will discuss what God's word has to say about gender, sexuality, and the lost morality of our age.
Well, if the 1,000 other sermons
Cool.
I've watched are any indication, yes, the Bible is sexist, and that's the greatest thing ever, because Jesus was sexist.
Yep.
Yeah.
Seems like a cool dude.
Did you know that sexism is actually caring about women? That's what sexism is. And
Yeah, 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 yeah,
clown
yeah.
world doesn't want you to care about women.
So that good documentary.
So we finished watching Goop this week, talking about empowering women.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we
Yep.
watched episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Goop. I did not go back and watch the jacking off episode yet because I didn't have time, but I will, and I'm gonna make other people watch it later tonight because it's a birthday party at my place, I guess. Not for me, but for everybody else. um,
uh,
so the first episode is dumb, but maybe the least like offensive of this set. Episode 4 is about like your genetic age, which
oh yeah.
which
Mm.
speaking of like how Goop kind of just has the same fucking products as like InfoWars and all that shit. Uh, it really does have that like genetic memory feeling like, oh, your interior self is completely different than your like real self, like that garbage.
Yeah.
Uh, like using people's want to be like good people against them to try and make them buy weird shit. Anyway, what did you think of the episode? I titled it as the fasting episode, but
I agree with you. That one was probably the least annoying.
yeah.
Um. I thought the plastic, not really plastic surgery part, but like that part, I guess, was interesting slash terrifying. The threading sounds really scary.
I,
Um.
yeah, the threading that is, we're gonna put these dissolvable wires in your face, and don't worry, they have like little fists of plastic all the way down, so it'll just jam your face up. Uh, that lady, I know that they tried to play it off like, oh, it's not that bad, but she looked fucking ghoulish when they were done doing that. And the videos she took like the next day also looked terrifying. So
Yeah.
that's not a great selling point for that procedure.
No. What were the other ones? Oh, Gwyneth's was like
Gwoople?
Gwoople. So like they like filter some sort of something out of your own blood and like do a facial with it.
Yeah, they
Um,
put her they took some blood from her. I think it was like, I don't know. It looked like a one of the big like 100 milliliter like vials.
mhm.
They took that out of her arm and then spun it uh, in a centrifuge and separated the plasma out. And then they
Yeah.
called it fucking uh, Goople's golden broth, which I did not
Ew.
like. Uh, and then I was like, okay, well, they're taking it like up into a syringe, but it was a syringe that she took the needle off of and then just dripped it on her face and used like a oh fuck, I forget what those are called. The like skin agitators to just
Yeah.
go over her numbed up face and drip that onto it while she was doing it. It's like it's the like slightly less uh weird version of the let's just inject this old man full of like blood from younger kids because
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
carries oxygen better. But instead it's like we're just gonna squirt your plasma onto your face and work it into your skin.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's natural and it's good because it's your own shit. Like it's your own material, I think is what they said.
Yeah, they said material a lot.
Ugh. No, I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Also no, the broth thing is pretty nasty and also gave me some like Trump golden shower flashbacks. Um what was the other one? So there's the threading, the weird golden broth one.
Oh, the acupuncture.
Okay, like that, fine. That's
Yeah,
just acupuncture. So
acupuncture is just acupuncture. Like
yeah,
I'm not against the idea of like acupuncture to me is very similar to the cold shower. Like
yeah,
it's getting you to kind of get blood flow to places, but it's not like mysterious in any way.
right. I would love to know. Okay, so for people who that don't know, in this episode, like they tested their genetic age at the beginning, and then they made these three different women do some sort of diet. Like each one did a different diet,
Yeah.
and then they test their age again at the end of the episode after like 3 or 4 days. Maybe it's a week. I don't know. But Gwyneth's diet was just a fast, or it was like a specially formulated like astronaut food sort of
Yeah, it
like
was like a oh, I had a friend who basically did what she did before. It's like a simulated fast where you
yeah.
basically eat like you're on Lent. Like you eat like small amounts and mostly not when it's sunny out. Like it's
Mhm.
kind of a weird take on that, except she had like a weird micro lunch for some of those days.
Yeah, those lunches looked really sad. Just like the little soup. Although I like soup, so I wouldn't be opposed to that
I'll eat a weird
diet
soup.
actually. Yeah.
I've eaten Amy's freeze dried soup shit. Like it's fine.
Oh,
It's
I like that stuff. Like the Bear Creek ones, those are really good
uh
too. Yeah. Okay. So I can get on board, I guess, with the dehydrated soups. Like, I'm fine with that. But it was, I don't know. I get what I was going to say originally is I'm curious how much that costs because I'm sure it's
yeah.
not cheap.
Well, they go over just a tiny bit with what's her name, the like second in charge lady. I don't.
Elise. I think her name's
Oh, that's her
Elise.
name. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Elise goes and buys like stuff for her pescatarian diet,
Hmm.
and the salmon she buys, which is literally like a half fillet, like it shows her holding it,
Yeah.
cost her like $48. And it's
Right.
like, yeah, if you're gonna buy that, uh, though they didn't show it for long enough. Like I could see if you're getting high end smoked salmon, if you're getting like a half fillet's worth, that being expensive.
Yeah.
But I think it was just a fucking like fillet. Like I don't think it was cured or anything.
No, that seems like a her problem. like
Yeah.
like a choices issue there. Definitely, cause she said that that dinner was like $50 or something like that, or
Well, the
probably
fish
more
was
if
50.
this.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, then just really expensive. So I'm. She had like the easiest diet I think out of all of them. I can't remember what
Yeah.
the other.
She was just vegan. And then when they
Um,
come back together to talk about like the health benefits of each one of those diets, I really like that they start with the one lady. They're like, "Well, your genetic age only dropped off a tiny bit, and also veganism is for chumps." Like the
uh,
I don't think the doctor's a hack necessarily, like some of the other people in the show. He seems fine. He's probably not somebody I would ever want to see, but um, like the fact that he was saying like fasting can be dangerous, so you want to do something where you're still eating, I'm totally on board with that. But at the same time, his like weird, well, there's so many pros and cons that being vegan is sort of just a fad, stupid thing. Not in
yeah.
that, that's paraphrasing, but he seemed very like, I guess you could be vegan. Uh, and like pescatarian is, I mean, that's what I would be if I could afford it. Like fish is great, meat is
Yeah.
okay. Uh, but I fasting is rough. Also, if you don't know what you're doing, not a great idea for long periods of time.
Yeah, fasting is an interesting thing because I feel like that's come more into like a trend
Yeah.
recently because you have people like Twitter man, Jack Dorsey or whatever who
Witcherman?
Twitterman who says that, oh yeah, I only, well, basically I think he just does intermittent fasting, so he only eats within like a 6 hour window or something like that, and more people are doing that, and I think that's fine. But I think there's also a lot of people who uh it comes dangerously close to just having very disordered eating.
Yeah.
So if, yeah, I don't know, fasting can go
It's
wrong.
it's a bit of a crapshoot for like what you need and what you're able to do at the time.
Yeah. And if you're able to pay probably, I would guess, hundreds of dollars for someone to make you space food
Yeah.
in a box, then great, I guess. But
That box did bring back some good memories of when I send people packages, I always package them like that. Like I will make lots of individual weird
yeah.
things to open and then try to like Tetris them into a box in a way that's fun to open.
Yeah. It
If that
reminded, go ahead.
if that were what fasting was, just getting a box in the mail that had fun stuff inside, I'd be down for that. Less so if it's the first half of your day is this bar with some peanuts in it.
Yeah, that sounded not fun. I would like it just for convenience sake. Just like I feel, I mean, again, that just comes down to like having money to do stuff, but I would love to do any kind of I don't know, like fast or something. If it came to you packaged, like ready to go,
Yeah.
easier to handle, that would be nice.
You just
Uh,
got to get yourself a role in a Marvel superhero movie.
Yeah.
They'll fucking roll you out a 12 pack in a month.
I mean, that's not a bad gig being Robert Downey Jr.'s love interest. So like,
Yeah.
I'm on board with it.
Uh,
They the space booth
Whoople.
reminded me of MREs,
Oh,
which I
totally.
love.
Yeah, they're. I kind of love all of the like shit that they have for that. I even like those like almost like suet bars, those things
Yeah.
that they have that are like not even like your standard like make this into bad pasta MRE, but the things that are just like this is a fucking bar of nutrient goop. Uh,
Yeah.
those things I fucking love. Like you can eat like a handful of it and go for like half a day or so
hmm
before you're like needing anything. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I always liked the squeezed cheese that you get in those,
Yeah.
and the tiny Tabasco bottles. It's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need a mail order diet plan that's just MREs.
I mean, we both live in like the Northwest slash Pacific Northwest. I guarantee you can get MREs mailed to you.
Probably.
This is
Yeah.
like Prepper Central.
I
Uh,
just think it tastes good.
so episode 5 of Gwoople is fucking where it kicks off for this set with the energy healing.
Ah.
Uh,
Yeah, that one I'm gonna have to call bullshit on, I guess. I don't know, man. I don't know about that one. I didn't look too science backed to me. It
yeah.
was too twitchy and weird.
Also, you'll notice anybody who didn't really get into it beforehand, uh, even on the show, they didn't show much of their like actual session.
Yeah.
Uh, the one guy who kept saying that the scientist in him wanted to discredit it, or he there's a scene where this guy says after the whole thing, towards the end of the episode, he's like, "Well, the scientist in me wants to," and it's like, it wants to not believe it, make up a hypothesis, test it, go back, still not believe it, make a hypothesis. Come on, man. Like, I've never heard somebody like expose themselves as sort of a empty vessel that fast. Uh, that guy could be totally cool, but the way that he either read that or just thought that was not as good as he thought it was going to come out. Uh,
Yeah.
Also, the whole energy healing, Reiki healing thing, whatever it is, I think health benefits from going and seeing somebody and having them like give a shit about you and try to help you.
hmm
Like that's often very effective. Like some people get those effects from just getting massages because
Right.
you're you're being looked after in some way and that makes you feel good. Some people get those feelings from listening to good music. Like it's such a nebulous thing to try and say this fucking douchebag is is pulling
Just
energy out of these
pulling
people.
my energy out. Also, just interesting little point. The person they brought on to talk about it is an actress.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Julianne Hough, who I really like, but she was like the first person. I can't remember if they had very many of those little sidebars with people
Hmm.
like what do you call that? Just like telling their experience. But
Yeah, like the one-on-one things that
yeah,
they put in there.
I don't think they did as many in that episode. I think it was just Julianne Hough being like, "I'm a dancer and this is great."
Oh, testimonial, that's what it's called.
Yes, yeah.
Uh the they showed a lot of her stuff. Wasn't she the one writhing around?
Yeah.
Uh and like that is funny to watch, but nobody else except for her and Gloople did that. And of
hmm
course they did. Also, like in a post what was it, Axios world, like the idea of like, oh, actors never get totally bought in on stupid cult shit. Like,
Yeah.
definitely not.
Definitely not, because being rich means you're smarter and better.
Yeah, actors aren't just people who make their living being empty vessels most of the time.
Oh God. And then like what were the other reactions? The Elise did it and she uh made weird sounds. That was a really weird little.
Yeah,
They were like, "Hey, people are stressed out because they can't make weird sounds without being judged. So you're probably gonna make some weird sounds, and they're just gonna be involuntary and come out of you."
but
And
also she was just like humming and stuff. I think that she is specifically in every episode of the show so that she can be the person who like you follow through, cuz
oh,
her
maybe.
whole thing is acting like a fucking idiot in every episode. But I was weirdly into them in the fourth episode, showing us uh, her and Gwoople's husbands, just because it adds context to their like weirdness.
Yeah, I
These
did
like
like that.
sort of dorky, overly supportive men who are definitely like just kind of going along with whatever.
Yeah. I liked being reminded that Gwyneth Paltrow's daughter's name is Apple. That
Yep.
was a cool reminder. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, having some home video style stuff with her fasting that's just Apple shooting it.
Yep.
I will say having a little ticker bar that just says Apple, uh, that is confusing. Like if you wanted to set up a career for your kid, that's a weird one to
That's
do.
not a good I guess it could go either way. It could be really good or really bad. But
Yeah.
either way it doesn't matter because you're the daughter of Quoople. So
Also, if you do have a future thing with Apple that's shortened up, it just becomes Appal. So you kind of got a Goople proof name for that.
yeah.
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 So one thing I did really want to mention, because I don't want to stray from this topic without talking about this fucking energy healing dick bag. Um, that guy sucks. And
Yeah.
I know that like massage and things like that, people are always going to be like touching up on people. I get that, but his way of doing it is very creepy to me. There's a lot of
Yeah.
like him like gingerly touching like just their hip bones and like rubbing in circles and then like trying to like lift their pelvis up and like he does not focus on other parts of their he's not like doing anything with their legs or their arms or their like things that aren't erogenous zones just aren't a part of that, I guess. He just has to get in on people a
There's
lot.
no energy in those zones. It has to be the erogenous zones. That's where
Yeah.
all the
Not
energy is stored.
not my favorite. The guy just kind of like you could say this about any kind of thing you don't understand. I get that, but I really feel like that guy's just kind of a weird pervo who found
Yeah.
a way into that. Also, did you catch the part where he said while he was in chiropractic school?
Yeah.
So already discredited heavily after that. Uh, Man, that guy fucking sucks. Did you look at how he was sitting while he was doing his interview too?
No, I
Uh,
didn't. I'll have
I
to.
drew a very small picture of it.
Oh,
If that
good.
you, uh, he he is just like spread eagle with his like crotch center shot, and he's just kind of like he's got his hands around it uh, whenever they show him, and it
Oh, I don't like
sucks.
that.
Like there's a lot of that guy just like thrusting at the camera when he's in his interview, which is not necessary at all. Uh, yeah, that guy probably should be in prison.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I hate the part when he's trying to teach the other daughter or doctor how to do it, and he's like, "You see there, like the small of her back, that's a button, and you gotta press it." I hated that he was like, "It'll activate something." I don't know. He also said that the energy was like most potent, like 3 to 4 feet above their heads or something, or
Yeah.
like a radius around them. I don't know, but something about the lower back being a button to like activate your energy just sounds really like an excuse to touch somebody's lower back.
Oh, it is. Uh, Honestly, the only thing that I got from that episode that was new information, other than that guy's a fucking creep, is maybe we should also put chiropractors in prison and not just laugh about them, because now I feel like they're also just fucking weirdo perverts.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, One of my close friends who is getting birthdayed later, uh, they have a debilitating back condition that was greatly worsened by a chiropractor when they were younger because, science.
Right.
The science of getting your energy flow right is maybe something that is at best a personal journey.
Yeah. I
Also, we
yeah.
have fairly safe things like yoga that's been practiced forever and meditation. That seems like an actual answer if you want that. But
Right. Yeah, just like I think we said this in earlier pods, but they really just do everything they're trying to show as like a therapy or a way to like make yourself more healthy. They just do it a huge disservice in every single episode. They make it seem worse and not real if there is any truth to what they're even talking about.
yeah.
So, but with that, how about that last episode?
Man, that last episode was fucking garbage. The last
I actually
episode.
really got sucked into that one. I was like, yeah.
Well, why don't you describe that episode?
Okay, so they um I don't remember what it was called, but they were the
Are you into it?
oh yeah, which is great. So basically there's a what was her title? Like what does she call she's a medium
Yeah.
um something like psychic medium something. Anyway, and she's like a personality within that world that actually she's got like her own thing going on. But they interview her and she does like a workshop with the goop people to try and teach them how to activate their like psychic powers. And
Uh-huh.
it's fucking awesome. They stand in a circle and they beam love at each other and
Uh,
it's great.
they even put their hands up like, oh.
That okay, because when that started, she was like, "I want you to beam love and strike a pose, however you think that's going to beam love the best." And they all did the same fucking thing. I was like,
No, one of them did a different thing.
"Oh, what
One
did
of
they?"
them looked like a fucking Chinese vampire. If you look at they had their like wrists all limp, like this. I don't even know who it was because they like showed them from the arm down in a shot, but that was my favorite person by far.
It reminded me so much of like worship services,
Yeah,
which it just makes me uncomfortable to think about. But that was a good part. And then she has a part where
that
uh,
was a good one.
that was a good one. I liked that. What did they do after that? Then she has them all like draw pictures of of a canvas that's covered.
Yeah, that part was pretty weird.
Yeah, and like I guess one person got it right, and they showed that person's drawing, and they got by got it right. I mean like it was a picture of a sun and mountains, and they did like.
I think it was a picture of pyramids, right?
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
And
Yeah.
one person drew like a triangle.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah. I don't even think it was the lady who later on they were saying has
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
psychic powers. Like the next thing they did is they exchanged personal items, and then you would try to like what is it, intuit?
Like read it.
Yeah, like read the energy coming off of it, so you could infer, or not infer, but like know what happened. I don't know, the circumstances around the object. So this one lady got it spookily correct, I guess.
Yeah, though there was a lot of like, I don't know, that John Edwards, not the politician, but the shithead like medium guy.
Yeah.
Uh, she did a lot of the like stuff I'm sure they were training them to do, but the like starts with an M and like uh it has something to do with family member, like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's always like it does seem very spooky unless you know that that's just sort of how you can deal with people's like sort of, I don't know, common story. Like
Yeah.
you can read a couple things into something like that and just sort of get it right. And the fact that only one person in that class of what, like 10ish got close makes sense, because that's probably about how often it would work that well.
Yeah.
But yeah, very frustrating.
So, I mean, there were kind of cool parts because I'm pretty like I want to believe in that shit. I want
Yeah.
that to be real. And the one part where that lady, I keep wanting to call her Teresa Caputo, but it's not Teresa Caputo. Really long blonde hair lady, medium lady. She is working with a person from that workshop that was largely skeptical and like didn't really feel anything. So
She
she
was
tries.
she was Gwoople spect uh
Yes,
like she was suspicious in the way that somebody on that show is suspicious,
right.
but
She was
not
like,
like fully suspicious.
she stood there in the circle, is like, I don't feel the love being beamed at me,
Uh-huh.
which is pretty good. But so the medium has like a session with her and tries to read her, and like everything she says is wrong, and then they're like, wait, I think you're actually reading our director or producer or something.
Oh, yeah.
And that part, I was like, oh, I was excited about that part. I mean, I don't know, maybe.
So this isn't to shit on your hopes and dreams at all, but so my big problem with that, as it started getting further into that episode especially, is that we had a real shithead pastor in the Seattle area named Mark Driscoll, who ran a place called the Mars Hill Church for like, I want to say like over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's like your standard um like church with cult leanings, where there's a lot of like don't do anything of like sort of I don't know, like frivolous stuff that could lead you towards, like, essentially lead you towards people that are going to help you move on with your life as opposed to stay in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like a very like prosperity kind of church where, oh yeah, we need a lot of like especially rich immigrants who don't have like a strong structure that can really just buy in. uh
Yeah.
and I had a friend who started dating a person who was in that church, and I had already heard a lot of bad shit about the church, so I started listening to all of their like online material and their podcasts and stuff, just to like, I don't know, it's the same fascination that I would have with like Alex Jones or like a
Yeah.
fucking mega preacher type person. And he went on at length about how he saw screens on either side of people, and how
Oh.
uh, he would like see somebody's father on a screen behind them, and then he's molesting you. And the biggest problem with his stuff is almost all of it in all of his stuff that he put up had to do with people being molested when they were too young to remember it, and convincing them that it had happened,
Yeah.
including his wife. And that's apparently before they got together. She was in his like church group thing when he was doing that. And he convinced her that somebody in her family, I think it was her dad or her uncle, had molested her. And then she separated from her family and they got married. And
Wow.
it's told as this big like triumphant story, and it's like that sounds like you convinced somebody that you had secret information about some shit that didn't happen. uh, and he
Ooh.
described it specifically as television screens behind somebody that only he could see, that all this molestation was happening on. But in addition, he also talked about how when he was 15, he worked as a longshoreman on the uh, waterfront of Seattle, which I guarantee did not happen, and that the inside of the tiny break room that they had, which is also incredibly like suspicious sounding, was just plastered floor to ceiling in cut out like decoupaged um, pornography, like the hardest core pornography. And he goes on at length about it. And it's
Hmm.
like, one, you're 15, you're not working as a longshoreman. Nobody would let you do that. It's the same Alex Jones bullshit of like, well, I was so big and tough and cool when I was younger that people just assumed I was of age. It's like, that's not how licensing works. Also, what he's talking about would have occurred in like the late 80s and early 90s. We
Hmm.
had laws. Like it wasn't like way long ago when people were like kind of figuring out Seattle or something. Like that guy's not very old compared to most preachers. Um, anyway, he embezzled a whole bunch of money from like a assisting Africa fund from his own
Yeah.
church fundraiser, like millions, and then got kicked out. But he opened his own megachurch in Arizona, like in 2015 or something. So like he's fine, and he's still doing it. Uh, his name's Mark Driscoll. If anybody wants to, I don't know, fucking egg his car or
The
something.
name sounds familiar.
You've
Is
probably
it?
heard me complain about him before.
Well, what
Uh,
I'm scared about is I'm familiar with it because of my mom or brother.
yeah, maybe.
Hopefully not. Yeah, that is very culty. And just for context, that the screens thing is important. Is that's how the medium describes seeing uh, this stuff.
Yeah, it was
Happen.
immediately like I was kind of into the episode. I'm a I like the idea of energy. That is a thing that my dad is into when he became anti-religious, but still, I think he had that like spiritual upbringing that made him stick with something.
Hmm.
Also, he smokes a lot of pot, so it's not super surprising that he would stick to that. Um, he actually, when I talked to him when I was younger, he basically described his own version of what Buddhism is, but he hadn't studied Buddhism, so it's kind of one
Oh,
of those like, oh yeah, that makes sense if you're into that kind of thing, like the sort of elevating and de-elevating planes of existence where you get like a slightly better, slightly worse, depending on how you're trying to live your life, kind of stuff. Um, anyway, I like the idea of that, and I like it for storytelling purposes, but I
mhm.
often am too skeptical to be like into it. But I like it. And as soon as she started describing that Mark Driscoll style stuff, I was fucking out because
Like,
I've been burned by that too many times. To be fully transparent on that, I listened to every single podcast that Mars Hill and Mark Driscoll did, which I think ended up somewhere in the like probably 100-hour-ish range by the time he got kicked out. So if they put material out there for you to hear, I probably heard it. And my conclusion is the guy's a douchebag. Also,
yeah, he sounds like one.
he kind of started. Well, he was one of the people who started up the Jesus like ripped breaking the cross from behind him image. That was like a Mars Hill thing that got kind of big around when the religious right started picking up a lot of speed in like the early thousands or so.
Mm-hmm.
So I also blame him for a lot of the like uh, ground that just sort of neocons have picked up in like this area of the Pacific Northwest. Anyway, very fun. That Medium episode was bananas.
It was. I wanted everybody to unlock their inner psychic. I wanted to unlock my inner psychic, but oh well.
I'm sure you'll get there. You just
Someday.
you're doing the right thing. You gotta keep your head warm. You gotta keep the blood flowing.
That's yeah. I think that's the first step, and then she describes it as like it's a thing that everybody has the ability to tap into, but some people's volumes are louder than others. She's said that a few times, which is interesting. But I tried to find her like more videos of her reading people.
Yeah.
And I could not find that. But she does have a bunch of like hour-long lectures on YouTube. I just didn't have the that level of interest to sit through that much. But
you should try watching one of the more popular ones just to see.
yeah, I think I started one, but it just I was like wanting her to read people, and she wasn't reading anyone. So I was like, not what I came for. But it is interesting to me that they wouldn't put more of that out there. Although, I mean, I guess like it's your job, so maybe you don't want people to see it. But at the same time, like if you really think it's real, then like why would you not want more people to see it happening? I don't know.
That's kind of the energy healing episode where he talks about like nobody's ever seen this done on camera before because they think it was too weird. And it's like, yeah,
because usually I do this in my
fake.
basement. And I film it for myself, my own reasons. Don't ask me what they are, but yeah.
Also, definitely wear Spanx when I do this because I'm gonna need just the most access possible.
Yeah, just full body, like tight onesie if possible.
Yeah.
Or you could just Betsy Dodgson it and just go fully naked.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he'd be fine with that. I also like his like snapping at people.
That was so weird. Yeah, I really want somebody to make one of those like edited funny edit what am I trying to say? Funny like funny edited video of like that where it zooms in really really close on like the snapping fingers and like
yeah, you need like a Vic Berger video of his stuff.
That's what I want.
I mean, if you're listening to this on the internet, just come on, make some funny videos.
Just do
it. Yeah, honestly, the upside to that is maybe now that people have been exposed to energy healing and its ridiculousness, we'll get more of it on film. Like maybe it will embolden the energy healing community to like put it out there. Because I honestly, if rich people or people with a decent amount of money want to give these assholes a fuck ton of money to do fake shit to them, fine, whatever.
Mhm.
I don't really care. Like people are paying to get their like Whole Foods delivered via Amazon too. Like it's fine. I don't care as long as it's not hurting anybody except for the people who choose to do it. Um, but
Yeah.
just film it. Like we just need more of it to like
Yeah.
put out there. It has less of a message than like sermons and like giant televangelists and stuff, and that's on TV. Let us watch energy healing. Hey,
I want a 24-hour live stream of energy healing.
some people probably can't even get off without watching that now, and
Right.
you're depriving them of
Rude. It's rude.
important spankability.
Oh no.
They never showed a guy doing that. Like they had one guy on the
Oh yeah.
table and they spent literally like 10 seconds with him of him being like the sinus in me doesn't believe this, and then he like starts touching on him and they just skip to the next person.
This isn't hot enough. It's not
Yeah.
sexy enough.
He was a hot enough guy. They could have shown him writhe around, but he wasn't going to do it because if somebody puts their hand over you and you're not ready for it, it's not going to do anything.
Oh. Even if you are ready for it, who knows? It still might not do anything.
Yeah, I also just like the caveat. I think he and the medium lady said this, that it takes like 3 or 4 times before you really start getting the hang of it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, the medium lady was saying that this is like a practice, like there are
Right.
levels to it, and she's like at the top. She's at the top of the levels.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that lady and stuff before, but I can't think of what. She has a very recognizable face, and I've seen her talk. It's probably in like I don't know, there was this Beyond show that Canada made that was about stuff like that. I'm pretty sure she was in it for at least a couple episodes.
Mhm.
That show, if you can find it, it's just called Beyond. It is the funniest, like not supposed to be funny show I've ever seen. There is the intro to one of the episodes that's about elementals. The rest of it, who the fuck knows? It pans over to a completely computer done face of like an elf or something, and it just says like elementals, and the mouth moves along with it, and it is like whoa. There is a cast of like 8 people who are making this like presumed very real show,
Mhm.
and the people straight up in like switching between seasons will play other people but like try to dress it up like they're not them, and it's clearly like they just couldn't afford to get more people, so they're not going to recognize Sheila if we just kind of like give her like a wig and stuff. And it, these people at one point they go see an old couple. I'm making big obnoxious marks with my fingers in the air, and they have a copper pyramid hanging over a like a double bowl of fruit, like the hanging bowls,
Mhm.
and in it they have a bunch of like old ass citrus fruit, and one of them is I think it's a lemon, or no, it's a lime, I think. And they're like, we got this lime like 2 months ago, and the copper pyramid keeps it fresh, and instead of just leaving it at that, they pull it off and they cut like a wedge out of it, and while they're doing it they're like, see, juicy. And they pull this wedge out, and like if you've ever had a citrus fruit like that for a while, like it doesn't rot necessarily because it's
Yeah.
really acidic. It just kind of like dries and like gets small for a while first, and it's that they like pull it out and it's like that dry ass like citrus skin in the middle, and they just are holding this like little piece of lime and they're like 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 eating it like, oh, it's so juicy, it's so good. And it's
Straight
just this
line.
like fucking lime mummy. And it is the funniest shit. And they're playing it so straight, but man, I love that show. If anybody can find that show and also happens to watch this, please email us where we can watch it. Also, what's that email? Where do they email us at?
Oh, our email is it's this week's podcast at gmail.com. It's all one word, all together.
It's this week's podcast.
Yep.
It's included in the email. I really need to start holding a thing up that says it on it, but we'll wait till next week.
We can fix it in post.
Yeah. We'll have a link to it under the YouTube.
Yes.
And this will go up in like a few weeks, probably, so it'll work out great.
It'll be good. Very timely.
Yeah, I feel like I should be holding my like you supported Bernie like bumper stickers and stuff up so that if he doesn't get nominated, I can still have a video of me like, I hope he gets in.
Something to watch back later, sadly, and reminisce.
I have a very important question for you, and I don't think you're going to have an answer.
Oh, okay. Okay, what is it?
What would your Jellicle cat name be?
God, I mean, I think you're right. I can't even think of a good one.
Well, let me lead off.
You have a suggestion?
Oh no, you can bring one in next week if you want. But I was thinking about what my Jellicle cat name would be.
Mm.
So if I was a horrible, slightly altered monster with cat ears, I think my name would be Count Snickercats. That's what I'm going with.
I like that.
I would be a Maine Coon, so maybe add some extra fluff action. And then Count Snickercats, his whole thing would be that he wants to smash televisions when other cats watch shows he doesn't like.
I like it. I like the names when they have the title included in the names.
I was trying to figure out like a theme of what the Jellicle Cats naming was, and there is
the naming convention.
Because a bunch of them are like mythological or like just like old Greek and Roman references. And then a bunch of
Gus.
them. Yeah, and then there's Gus, and I think
Jenny Any Dots.
I think they're just supposed to kind of be named dumbly because that's how people name cats. It's hard to gauge what T.S. Eliot's deal is, really.
Oh my god! I think my okay my Jellicle cat. First of all, I would be the kind of cat that like their face is smashed in.
Oh, a Persian?
Yes, I would be that kind, and my Jellicle cat name would be Rebel Wilson.
Okay, I like this.
Yeah, and my Jellicle act would be
just eating cockroach women.
Probably that, and then doing really bad psychic readings.
Now
that would be it.
We're starting the cast of a version of Cats that I would love to watch.
Already more engaging and less gross.
Yeah, my cat is like a weird young meets old Elvis mashup, and yours is just a fucking spooky ooky psychic medium. Also, that face would be perfect for that to be your thing with like the just what's her name in BoJack? Isn't she like sort of a Persian looking cat?
Princess Carolyn.
Yeah,
I think she is.
Yeah, so you'd be like a psychic Princess Carolyn.
That would be good. Princess Carolyn is actually a pretty good Jellicle cat name. Also, I didn't get this until I watched Cats, but her ringtone is that song is a song from Cats.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I It's been a while since I've bojacked. I did not catch that.
I bojacked so hard yesterday,
Yeah, you
right
said it
before
ruined your
I got
day, right?
pwned.
Yeah, you bojacked and coned. That's a dangerous day.
I don't feel great today, to be honest. Definitely had some repercussions, but mostly I'm just sad that it's over. It's
Yeah,
probably the best television show I can think of, like in recent memory.
it's a
Uh,
pretty good one.
it's probably my favorite. That I don't know. Um, yeah,
Well,
I don't want to spoil anything, so I
yeah, we
won't.
don't want to get too sad.
Yeah, well, I think we've I think we've already crossed that bridge on my end, but it's okay. It,
Just
it'll live on forever in my heart.
just blast one of those watermelon gummies later. You'll be good.
I was considering it, but I'm already like cognitively not great today, as you can probably tell. But
That's just a good Saturday. You definitely aren't very hungover and coned over from yesterday.
definitely not going over. Every Saturday I want to get coned over.
God, I haven't been coned in a while. I need to go get coned. How
I
many slices of pizza worth of pizza is a cone?
They have that on their sign. They
Oh,
say one cone is equal to two slices of pizza.
is that accurate?
I
It feels like there'd be so many more
there
toppings.
Yeah. I think the toppings are a little lacking. They would need more toppings because it's just like a flat cone. Like they don't like pile the toppings like an
Okay.
ice cream cone. Uh, they just melt cheese and shit inside of it, and it's good. I was kind of disappointed in their um, variety though. You can only get like a cheese and a pepperoni and a sausage, and then like a pepperoni sausage
Hmm.
combination. I was hoping for like a margarita or something a little
There's
more interesting.
there's no Canadian style. Uh, Man,
I
I don't
know.
know if I could even cone if there wasn't pineapple in it, or at least peaches or something.
Yeah, or something. Ice cream. I'd like a scoop of ice cream on
Could
my.
you could you just unload some cream into this, please?
Uh, good experience overall. I
Do you
probably
think
will return.
do you think that cone would be something you could pull 6 inches of energy out of your heart with?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, then I mean there's no reason not to be coning constantly.
I plan to.
So I guess the other weird bullshit that I have no transition for.
Okay.
Speaking of cones of pizza, what do you think about tiny doll girls?
I don't like them. I don't like them. I don't.
So this
I
show we talked about a couple weeks ago called Gugure Kokori-san.
Mhm.
Uh, I just want to get your take on it because that show's so fucking weird.
It's just weird. It's I don't know. I don't even it there's like I don't understand what they were trying to do.
Yeah,
It's just kind of mostly uncomfortable. Um
too
it
sexual,
hasn't
I would say.
it's pretty yeah. It's so weird cuz they kind of alternate between showing her as a doll and then showing her as like a real girl.
Right.
And so I'm kind of that's a little confusing. Like, that's just her own weird psychosis that she thinks that she's a doll, I guess. And
I think so. Yeah.
okay. Well, in that case, they're just straight up taking advantage of someone who has a really severe mental health problem.
Uh-huh.
And I do like the cooking scenes. I always love cooking scenes in anime. Those are
Yeah,
quite good.
for sure.
Um,
Those are great.
I like how Kokori-san has like I think that's like the fox dude, right?
Yeah, the guy who looks like Dumpster Inuyasha.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I like how he has like a houseworking outfit that he wears when he's like
Uh-huh.
cooking for her. That's pretty funny. But yeah, I didn't like the part where he was like, "Hey, you want to take a bath with me?" I didn't like that.
Yeah, not a fan.
Um,
Uh like it almost would be less troubling if they stuck with like either pervy show or not pervy show, just because
right?
you would know what you were going with. But when it's like sort of wholesome and like pleasant, and then it jumps into like, and also, what do you think of this? It's like, ugh.
It's like it calls it out pretty
Yeah,
frequently as like pervy shit. It's not like trying to make it passable, I don't think, because the characters call each other pervs all the time.
yeah.
Like the girl is constantly she kicks him out for saying the bath thing, and then he
Hmm.
comes back. And then the dog spirit man, who just like sits in a cardboard box outside her house until she notices him.
Hmm.
Um, kind of does the same thing. I don't know. It's
Yeah, that character is even more problematic. Uh, so
yeah,
you watched the first three episodes, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So in the fourth episode, which I watched when you said you were watching these this week, the fourth episode introduces another character, which is a Tanuki man.
Oh,
And it's just a drunk, gambling asshole who is a Tanuki, and nobody likes him. And then she says, well, maybe if he just hung out as an animal, he'd be cute enough to like be okay with. And he turns into like the classic big bald, like sort of hideous Tanuki. Uh, and then she says she doesn't like it and he should turn back into a man. And he turns into a man shaped Tanuki and they hide his dick with her head. And then he chases her around the building for like a minute. And yeah, they just never really let
yeah.
up with that. But I will say, high point or low point, I don't know which yet. In the fourth episode, they introduce a character that's just a gray alien that's at their school.
Okay,
So there's that, and it's
there is
like
that.
it isn't super explicit, but it seems like she has a crush on the gray alien, maybe. Uh, I don't know. It's impossible to say.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand.
Yeah.
But I am going to watch it some more.
Also, yeah, same. What age range do you think that show's for? That's the question I kept asking myself.
It feels very like, I don't know, Adult Swim kind of age range,
Right.
maybe. I don't know. I truly don't know. I mean, that's what I would guess. Like,
Like it's kind
definitely
of got
not children.
it's kind of got that weird like Gremlins or like movies that came out around when like the Goonies came out that were like
Mm,
this isn't really for kids, but I guess it's marketed for them, but I don't know.
yeah, yeah. But it's just so like I don't know, it feels very like fever dreamy and weird that it gets away with it, I guess. So
Yeah.
I
It
guess.
it has that that sort of jump cut energy that keeps it from really ever being like just a story anime or like a comedy. It's just kind of like
Yeah.
constantly running around. It's weird.
And so far, it seems like it's basically just going to be reacting to new characters that are introduced. Because I don't feel like there's much of a story so far.
Well, based on the intro scene, or the, I guess the credits scene, there's 5 characters at some point.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think, yeah, it's probably half, like a lot of those shows, half the show is introducing everything, and the second half is the actual story. So that would be my guess. Uh, but I guess we'll find out, because, yeah, I'm probably going to keep watching it too. It's really fucking weird. I
Yeah,
still,
it's different. Yeah.
I do want you to watch the Beautiful Bones show at some point, because that one's also fucking weird.
Okay. I will add that to my list. I need something else to watch now that I've watched all of the BoJack Horseman there will ever be. So
Now that you've fully bojacked.
I BoJacked to hell and back.
Well, maybe we can get another animated show with Amy Sedaris in it. That's
Who does
always,
she play? Is she Princess Carolyn?
yeah. Uh,
She's great.
that's always my hope when animated shows end, is that people will have more time or like more connections to do another show. That's like H.
Mm-hmm.
John Benjamin is just constantly in shows, and they're almost always decent. Uh,
Yeah.
like I think Bob's Burgers kind of took the place of a lot of shows that he was kind of in, and it appeared like after things like home movies and stuff had gotten him more in the mainstream for people's liking him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually I like yesterday thought about Bob's Burgers for the first time in a long time, but I want to watch it again. And I also Archer, and that's the same guy,
Hmm.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's been a while since I've seen Archer.
that's
That's a good
I
show.
visited my parents' place for the first time a few weeks ago, and my dad's been watching a ton of Bob's Burgers, I guess. I don't think I've watched it since I was watching it with a friend of mine in like 2018 maybe. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah. It's a nice one. I like that. I can't they I don't know. I feel like a lot of the new um like animated but more mature subjects shows are very hit and miss. Like, what's the one? I can't remember what it's called, but all the people look ugly as shit, and it's called like Growing Up or something like that. And it's
Uh,
about a bunch of teenagers going through puberty, and that's like the whole thing.
um,
What's it called? It's just bad. I don't know. A lot of people like it, but I just can't. The people are just like too ugly. I can't. I'm
wait, are you talking about Big Head or Big
uh,
Mouth? Sorry, Big.
yes,
Okay.
yes. But yes, that is what I'm talking about. God,
Yeah.
why do they make everyone so like unbearably ugly? I can't.
I think it's just the like, um I don't know, everybody when they make a show wants it to like stand out in some way, so like some of them are misses. Um
Yeah.
like I personally think that the home movies look sucks, but I think it works enough for home movies. Uh but like Dr. Katz did the home movies look a long time ago, and I think it was actually more successful. It just, if your writing's good enough, you can make do with it. And a lot of people really like Big Mouth, so I
hmm
guess it's doing it, but it
hmm
is a nightmare to look at for sure.
It's uncomfortable.
Uh, also, like, you say that's recent, but I don't think it's recent, because even like when Archer was first starting, or like even back when it was like Aqua Teen or something was like big, we still
hmm
had like Tripping the Rift and all these fucking god awful shows that were terrible. But Like, you just forget about those ones and focus on
Yeah,
what you like.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I had Tuca and Birdie suggested to me because that animation's pretty similar. I think it's the same people that do BoJack, but they already canceled it, so I know there's only like one season, I think, to watch there.
Yeah.
So that's a bummer, but I'll probably watch it anyway. Yeah,
There will be another BoJack of some kind.
I need a thing to sink my time into, my time and my energy and my emotions into.
They'll bring BoJack back, but he'll be voiced by Johnny.
God. Oh, yeah. I would still watch it. Okay.
That's in life. Always strive to be a Mr. Peanut Butter. That's your goal.
Yeah. I
I I appreciate how that show makes sure that everybody is sort of fleshed out. I think that's maybe the thing that they did best. Uh,
yeah. Yeah, that they did a really good job with that, especially with as many characters they had going on.
yeah,
Uh, I think the ending was pretty good too, but I'm just I don't know. Post show depression.
yeah, postpartum show.
Yep. Yep. So if anyone has any suggestions for me, email us at it's this week's podcast. Or alternatively, you could send us a DM. You can slide into the DMs of at Vegeta for 2069
Yeah,
on Instagram.
that's at Vegeta 2069.
And I think we already have, I want to say 4 followers. We
Oh,
have 5 followers.
fantastic!
We haven't even posted yet.
Getting those numbers up.
I don't even know who are these followers.
And well,
Linton,
it's probably us and uh,
there's
another member
Nick,
of the podcast. Yeah.
and then that one guy who has like 6,000 followers, but it looks like a fake person.
Hey, that's our biggest fan right now. Don't don't talk shit about them.
I'm so sorry, Paradigm Disruptor. Please don't unfollow us. That sounds like a username I would have come up with in like 7th grade.
Yeah.
Paradigm Disruptor.
Um I mean, to be fair, we do need to post some garbage on there. So uh when you're watching this, just realize we're fucking lots of episodes in, and I'm about to start putting episodes on YouTube. So our world of updates is just as trashy as we have advertised.
it all blends together. It makes sense. It's all building the brand. That's what
Oh
it
yeah,
is.
that's we were originally going to call this building the brand.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I would actually love to call it that and get a bunch of people invested thinking they're going to get any sort of good advice about marketing or design or art or anything. And then it's terrible and we're talking about dog dick dildos.
Started by a fine artist, a psychic medium,
Yeah.
uh, a professional conist, a
Oh.
yeah,
Yep. Mhm.
yeah. I think we could do it. Uh, more dog dicks. You know, that's really what is missing.
I think that's what people want.
That'll really bring in the numbers once they see our terrible videos.
I mean, we have to we have to distinguish ourselves. We got to set ourselves apart, especially since we found out that we have a sister podcast that doesn't know about us. Probably won't ever know about us.
Yeah, if you need any movie reviews, just look us up and go with the other thing that shows up.
Should I should I go cyberbully them on Vegeta?
Yeah, we'll wait until we at least have some content.
I just want to comment on their last post and say you suck.
Oh, we keep getting harassed by Vegeta for 2069. I don't know what's happening. I guess it's just part of being famous.
The profile picture is a cake? Question
All right.
mark. And
I guess
we
Vegeta for 2069 really likes the fucking Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie.
Yep. Oh god. Well, I know what I'm doing this evening now.
Good. Yeah. You know, as partners in control of this brand, I think it's important that we just kind of do whatever. That's how you keep the spice in there.
Yeah. I mean, how are we supposed to make like 20 more of these without the unpredictable quality of whether or not Madison's going to cyberbully someone with her Instagram account?
I do like the idea of bullying them while we don't have any videos up.
That just makes it so much better. Not even an Instagram post. Actually, we should just put the email in our bio and nothing else ever.
Well,
oh god.
I think we're just rocketing to the top, and that's really what's important.
Yeah, watch out, the Daily. We're coming for you.
You've been warned.